Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, however you're watching, wherever you're watching, however you listen, wherever you listen. It's the Bet Online Salute to Troy podcast, and we have 2/3 of the Bearded Bandits, 2/3 of the Tripods. We are here with my good buddy, Ryan. But Ryan, before you go, before I ask you how you're doing, you're in a running club, and apparently, I don't know, rumor has it, I think I got this from the missus or something like that, but she found a picture of you at running club. I don't know if this is true or not, but I just don't know what to say, Ryan. They say this is
let's see what you got here.
They said this is how you're dressing at running club. They say this is your running club outfit. I don't know if it's true or false. Is there any allegations to this?
So the white guy on the show is Michael Cera, huh? That's what we're doing here. But no, I mean, yeah, I think that's definitely that's factual. That's what I go with. Yeah.
How does running club make you feel? I hate running. I just want to let you know that. Even when I was like at peak shape, I hated running. How far do you run, and how do you feel after? Do you get the running euphoria?
No, absolutely not. I hate running too. Can't stand it. But I've gotten too out of shape, and I've needed something to like motivate myself. Like we got a Peloton like a year ago, and I haven't ridden that thing in like 9 months because something about like sitting in my living room in front of a TV trying to exercise. I just can't do it. So I started running just to like try to just, work off the gut a little bit, get a little in shape, be able to play with my daughter, not get winded. And then now he's a friend, but basically a kid on my daughter's soccer team, her dad was telling me, he's like, oh, I'm in this running club here in Pasadena. We meet at this bar, run, and then we have beers after. I'm like, well, that sounds nice. Like it's still like, so you go, I run 3 miles, which is a lot for me right now. I'm still just starting off. And then when I'm done, I have a couple pints and some wings or tots and get a network and meet people. So it's more of a meeting people thing than it is actual like exercise. But at least, I get 3 miles in. So
3 miles is ridiculous. I just want to let you know that. But you did encourage me because we have a bike also, and we have two little ones, as you know, and no time. I think I just need to start hopping back on the bike because that bike kicks your butt.
It's great.
That bike kicks your butt. That might be. I tried carnivore for it. I do not recommend carnivore for anybody. Like it does work. I lost 10 pounds on carnivore without a problem, but when you go to the restroom, it is not pleasant, and I just couldn't do that anymore. But I don't recommend carnivore for that reason. But
okay. Good to know.
Yeah, you do lose weight though. It is pretty good. So I just changed my diet, so I am steadily losing weight, believe it or not. But I need to get some cardio, so I think I might start hopping back on the bike.
Yeah, the bike's better on your knees and joints. Yep. Like running just kills my knees, but I think I just need to be outside, even though it sucks now that it's like 98 degrees now that we're in summer. So we'll see. I'm supposed to go tomorrow. We'll see. It's supposed to be like 102 tomorrow in Pasadena. So we'll play it by ear. I might be on the bike in the living room.
How was your fourth? How was your fourth?
Fourth was good. Good. Yeah. How was your fourth?
It was good. I hosted the family over here. We got in the pool, did the little fireworks. I do the safe and sane. I don't deal with the fireworks I shoot in the air. I just do the safe and sane fireworks, little fountains. The kids enjoy it, call it good. All the kids have sparklers running around. It's not a good idea to give a 1-year-old a sparkler because you think he touches it. Nope, he doesn't touch it. He chases you with it. So
yeah,
here. So yeah,
my family goes nuts with the fireworks. We had all the airborne ones, crazy ones, and they had so many because there was like a bunch of my wife's family. So we literally had fireworks for probably almost 2 hours. It was like almost too many. It was like, all right, when is this wrapping up? Like I got work tomorrow. Like let's get this show on the road. But it was good.
Yep, that's perfect. Moving on. So in today's news, our guy decided to talk again about Lincoln Riley, and he spewed blasphemy about Lincoln Riley again. And for the record, I've never agreed. A lot of people are like, well, Lincoln Riley's going to – I never agreed that Lincoln Riley's going to the NFL. I always thought he was going to be a college coach. Never wanted to get rid of Lincoln Riley. Never said that. I just said if he doesn't win, he'll get Jimbo. They'll be on the field just like this with a check, and his wife and family will see it. But I do support Lincoln Riley. I can say this, and you could back me on this. This whole offseason, I have been supportive of what Lincoln Riley has done. 100%. So I like the direction that he is going. Our guy Paul Finebaum decided to talk again about Lincoln Riley and just spew some crazy stuff. And we have a little small snippet of it here. Let me know if you can hear it.
Especially on the offensive side, but I don't think anybody today views him in that same realm. And quite frankly, I think he'll be out of Southern Cal at the end of the season. I don't. It's a matter of whether it crashes and burns, or whether he just decides he's got to seek elsewhere. But I don't think there's any way he is going to be successful out there. I think that train has pulled out of the station. And if indeed that happens, this is one of the most historic crash and burns in the history of modern college football, because 5 years ago, Lincoln Riley was literally considered among the top 3 or 4 coaches in the country every time the Cowboys dropped.
You heard enough. Yeah.
All right.
A lot of holes in that argument, but I'll let you start.
So
it's Finebaum. What's to be expected, but
first of all, I don't understand what Finebaum has against. And if you listen to this whole thing, they talk about how he was scared and how he ran from the SEC, this and that. That is a false statement. Let's start there. Finebaum did not run from the SEC.
Lincoln Riley.
Sorry.
Finebaum for sure did not run from the SEC.
No, he did not.
He's paid by the SEC, I think.
Yeah, Finebaum got his job because he decided to snitch because somebody lied and said that they poisoned a tree, and all of a sudden he ends up on ESPN. But that's neither here nor there. Lincoln Riley, the true story of Lincoln Riley, Bob Stoops has an office in Oklahoma. Bob Stoops never really stepped away from Oklahoma football. When the decision was made for Oklahoma to go to the SEC, Lincoln Riley had no say. They didn't ask him about it. They just did it. It was Bob Stoops' decision. Why would anybody stay in a program where you're not appreciated and they're still representing the past? This is fact. Look it up. Go find it. On to Paul Finebaum. Some of the things he said. We all know as fans what to expect from this season, right? And we'll talk about it later in August, but just to give you a hint, this is a 9-win season coming up. Where the losses are going to come, we don't know. How they're going to come, we don't know. This is a 9-win season. But we all know that 2025 class coming in is the one that's supposed to turn the tide. We know what we're expecting, and we know what's coming up. Did Lincoln Riley change the culture at USC football? I think he did. Did he put a better product on the field? I think he did. People are excited to go see SC football compared to when Helton was there. People want to go see what he's doing with the quarterback. This is a scoring league now. People want to see points. Me, I'm a football purist. 10-3, a great football game to me. That means there's excellent defense. There's a big play somewhere. Where is it going to happen? That's not how football is anymore. People want to see the 45-point games. I get it. I understand it. That's not going to run Lincoln Riley out of town. We know. Boosters know. The money people know. 9 wins. Anything above 9 wins is exceeding. That's more scary, and I don't want to give too much, but that's scary if he wins 12. Then we're going to expect 12 in the 2025 season, and then we might get the same thing that we got at year 2, and we're like, oh, no, we're going backwards. It's the true expectation of it. But we'll talk about that later down the line in August, which is coming up, and football season is almost here.
Yeah. Month.
Yeah. I don't think he's crashing and burning. You can't crash and burn when you have a Heisman Trophy winner and a first-round draft pick. When you have a record setter and a first-round draft pick and a Heisman Trophy winner. When you have a playmaker and you have a very good number of quarterbacks in the NFL that are still in the NFL as a starting quarterback. He's not crashing and burning. He's been handed something, and this is actually a learning experience for him. And when you really look at it, he was handing something from Bob Stoops that was not his. It was Bob Stoops, and he went the Bob Stoops way. He's doing it on his own now. It's a lot of growing pains, right? And people's going to, well, he's getting paid a lot of money. We want a premium coach. He's a premium coach. He put another number on the cement steps. That's what coaches do. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, and everybody wants it to happen overnight. It's not going to happen. We know 2025 is where it's supposed to happen. Paul Finebaum, for him to be in the media and not to know that and not to follow SC and understand what's going on means that he's just a quack. People get mad at me saying I don't do my homework. They got mad at me because the offensive lineman, like I legit watched his film. He's just a big body that clunks around. They say he's a basketball player. Where's his basketball offers? Let's just be realistic about life. He's a front side tackle. He doesn't move very well. Paul Finebaum has no idea what he's talking about, even when it comes to SEC. Whatever his thing, this is like Skip Bayless and LeBron James. It's starting to get a little weird. It's getting a little weird.
Weird.
Yeah, like it's starting to get a little weird. So when Lincoln Riley becomes successful, what does Paul Finebaum have to say then? That's my question. I will pass it over to you.
Well, it tells me a couple things. Besides just all the holes in what he's trying to say here, which I'll get to in a second. But first, it tells me that USC is back in this regard. They're not back yet in the glory days or the winning ways. Like, yeah, we've got to still make moves in recruiting. NIL, we've talked ad nauseum. I've written articles about it. Like, there's a bunch of stuff behind the scenes that needs to change. We all know that. But USC sells, views, clicks, downloads, engagement. The rest of the nation now has realized this. And so anything they can do to jump on the SC hate train, they will do. We've seen it with Finebaum many times. We've seen it with Josh Pate. I have nothing against Josh Pate, but he's done this sometimes. We've seen this with other recruiting analysts, and they can deny it and whatever. I'm not personally saying all of them do that, but they know we're content creators in this business. Like, we know, right? If we do anything with Oklahoma, we're going to get a slew of Oklahoma fans all of a sudden tuning in. So they know if they bring anything negative towards SC, they're going to get all these like engagement and people are going to click and listen and other people are going to aggregate their stuff. So SC is back in that regard. They are truly, I saw a poll somewhere. Someone was asking like, is Notre Dame the most hated college football team? In my mind, it's SC. Like just based on engagement I've seen, I could be wrong. And I'm not like, I don't live in all 50 states. I travel a decent amount. I would say SC right now is the most hated team in college football. So we're back, baby. SC's back in that regard, right? Like
that is the first step. Nobody likes SC. You're right.
Hate us because you ain't us, right? Like that's the SC that we have a shirt, LAFB shirt. So
go to the store and buy one.
Yeah, exactly. LAFB locker room, head there now. So I don't think it's by mistake that Finebaum, and this is with Skip Bayless too, right? Like that's why do you think he harps on these things? He knows he's going to get engagement and people are going to watch and hate on him and whatever, but he's raking in the money. So he doesn't care. Paul Finebaum knows he's going to get all this uproar. And it's the one thing that unifies SC fan base. Cause I think there's still kind of a split with Lincoln Riley. Like half is like, we believe, half is like, oh, it's year 3. What's going on? We paid too much money. But I think everyone can get on the bandwagon. Like, all right, we're all against Finebaum. He's a hater. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So that's one. 2, I mean, this is clearly just, as I was just saying, this is clearly just engagement farming because there's none of this is backed in any factual evidence at all. Like you can't come out and say a statement, Lincoln Riley will be gone at the end of this year based on what he's trying to. Now, if he has like insider information, which he doesn't, because based on his salary, there's going to be no buyout. And based on anyone with logic, why would he leave to go somewhere else and miss out on all that money? So, I mean, just on the salary side, this isn't ending after this year.
Who's going to pay the buyout? Who's going to pay that buyout?
Yeah, it'll still be like upwards of $70 million.
Yeah.
Not saying it's absolutely impossible, but unless this is like a 2-win football team, like there's no way. Like to me, the floor of this team is like 6 or 7 wins, which would be a pretty bad floor. But even with that, you will hopefully see, like we've talked about a bunch, at least cultural changes and improvement in certain steps of moving towards the right direction. But so yeah, it's just, it's engagement farming, classic Finebaum that no one should be surprised by at this point.
Engagement farming. That's JJ Redick. You took a page out of JJ Redick's book, Engagement Farming. That's like the big thing everybody's learning about. Definitely. Paul Finebaum could go to sleep and we could live without him and just leave us alone. Stay on your side of the Mississippi. How about Texas is on the side of the Mississippi now in their SEC. So just stay east of Arizona. Nothing's over here for you. We'll see you in January when we make the playoff. How does that sound, Paul?
Here's what's always funny about that is I bet you if Lincoln Riley and Paul Finebaum like ran into each other in like a bar, or like a media event, Finebaum would go up to him like, "What's up, Lincoln? Like, congrats on
Yeah.
the year." Like, act like he's like just doing his job.
If I was to ever meet Alex Grinch, I'd be like, "You're a thief, and you should go to jail for grand theft, not grand larceny, for grand theft, because you stole a lot of money from a lot of people, and they deserve it back." So I'll stick true to my gun. But let's move to a positive. We got a couple of polls that came out this week. CBS dropped a couple of polls. 24/7 dropped some polls. We'll start with the 24/7 poll first. They dropped the poll of the top running backs. Sorry, the top quarterbacks in the Big Ten Conference. According to 24/7 Sports. Number 1, Dillon Gabriel, Oregon. Drew Allar, Penn State. Will Howard, Ohio State. Miller Moss is number 4, USC. Will Rogers, that's an old Cowboy name right there, from UW. Dylan Raiola. Sorry, Dylan, if I messed your name. Raiola? It's Raiola?
Yeah.
Oh, Dylan Raiola, Nebraska. Tyler Van Dyke, Wisconsin. Alex Orjai, Michigan. I hope it's Orjai. It'd be suck if announcers had to say Orgy.
Orjai or Orgy. I don't know.
Aiden Chili's from Michigan State. Hudson Card, Purdue. Miller Moss, number 4 quarterback. Now, kind of links on what Paul Finebaum said. Miller Moss, 1 career start, broke a bowl record, was the Holiday Bowl, but it was against a very good team. And they're projecting him to be the number 4 quarterback in probably the best conference in college football this upcoming year. That right there, number 4 quarterback. Let's just say they were wrong, right? And he's projected better, right? So that gives him 2 spots. He's now the number 2 quarterback. That guarantees you. And we saw with Caleb. Caleb gave SC, 10 wins in his 2 seasons? 12 wins in his 2 seasons? Just being the top quarterback in college football. Mm-hmm. Miller Moss being the number 2 quarterback gives you right there 6-7 wins. Just Miller Moss doing what Miller Moss does. The thing I like about Miller Moss, and I think this is off, I think he is 2 or 3, in my opinion. Lincoln Riley can call better stuff with Miller Moss compared to Caleb Williams. Yeah. And when I say that, his pass game is opened a lot more with Miller Moss than it is with Caleb Williams, and the options are better. Not saying that Miller Moss is better than Caleb Williams. I'm just saying Lincoln Riley is more successful with Caleb Williams. I wouldn't be surprised if, and we're going to talk about this again too, predictions and stuff later down the line in August, if Miller Moss is in New York in December. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, that's not a far
bet online. Put that bet down.
Yep, go to bet online. Put that bet down. I wonder what it is. I'll look it up in a little bit. But when you're talking, I'll look it up. But I don't think that that's a far reach, because Lincoln Riley and his pass game and Miller Moss and the way he throws the ball, he's a true gunslinger. That's what I like about him. But the problem with gunslingers is they get a little bit overzealous and they start forcing things when they get into the zone. But the also good thing about gunslingers, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, who else? Troy Aikman, those type of gunslingers, they'll throw a pick.
John Elway.
They'll throw a pick and they just completely forget about it. It's a part of the game. We're just going to keep moving. Nothing. They're really good at being ducks. Just let the water roll off their back. I think Miller Moss is 2 or 3. They're off 1. I don't hate the fact that he's 4, but I think he's a little bit better than what people put on. And him being in this system for 3 years now, that's what a lot of people forget, that he's been in the system for 3 years. This isn't his first time. He's been in this system for 3 years, and now he finally gets the chance to play. This is going to be a Jordan Love type situation where he's going to come out, shock the world, and continue to put that product that Lincoln Riley has built onto the field. And Miller Moss will be the reason why SC has a good year. What do you think?
Love it. Well, yeah, I looked. He has according to Bet Online, he has the 14th best odds to win the Heisman at plus 3,300.
Oh, go put $100 down on that.
Easy. Who do you think's number 1? Just off the top of your head.
Oh, coming back.
Number 1 Heisman odds.
Quinn Ewers.
He is number 3.
Number 1. Is it Dillon Gabriel?
Dillon Gabriel.
Wow.
Number 1. The number 1 QB in the Big Ten, according to 247.
Before you go. Oh yeah, I know Dillon, but he's the number 1 to get the odds, right?
Yeah,
Heisman.
Yeah.
Dillon Gabriel has been multiple places has not. He succeeded when he was at UCF. Then he got injured. After his injury, he has not been the same. I think the hype is a little bit overrated on Dillon Gabriel. I don't think he's going to be that good, and I would not be surprised if he gets his spot taken.
By Dante Moore?
All right, yeah.
UCLA?
There you go.
Maybe. Dillon Gabriel, I mean, a lot of talent. Last year was weird because he looked great with OU, with Oklahoma sometimes, and then kind of fell off towards the end of the season when it mattered. But no, for these rankings, I agree. I would put Miller Moss right now at 3. I'd put Dillon Gabriel 1. I'd probably put Will Howard 2 just because of the amount of starts he has. I think Miller Moss can have a better year, but out of respect, like going into this season, I don't want to be a homer. I can't put a guy that's played 1 game versus a guy that's played like 3 full seasons and had some success at Kansas State, brought Kansas State back to relevancy in Manhattan. So I'll put Will Howard at 2 right now. I think Miller Moss will have a better year, especially with, the Lincoln Riley system. And Will Howard, guess who's going to be his coach is Chip Kelly, who basically killed Dante Moore at UCLA, the number one quarterback recruit from a year ago. So to me, and this is what's so fun now entering the Big Ten, like now we're going to start having conversations with Penn State fans, with Wisconsin fans. Like, from what I've seen, I'm not going to sit here and act like I've watched a ton of Penn State film yet, because I haven't. I'll admit that. But I've watched enough. I've watched the big games, Penn State, Michigan. I have not seen anything from Drew Aller that I'm like, yeah, that dude is like the second best QB in the conference. Like, I haven't seen anything. I'm not saying he's terrible. Obviously, he's a highly touted prospect when he was recruited, but to me, 1 game of Miller Moss with 300 plus yards, 6 touchdowns, that was enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm putting him above Drew Aller. I just haven't seen enough from Aller. So to me, Moss is 3, has the potential to absolutely finish as the top quarterback just because of everything you said in terms of this is now his year 3 in the system. He's been with the program, just the type of player he is, how well he fits with Lincoln Riley, and then just who Lincoln Riley is and what he gets out of his quarterbacks. I mean, everyone would be lying if they would say like, oh yeah, we saw Baker Mayfield being a Heisman candidate and the number 1 overall pick. Like, the dude was a backup at Texas Tech and then had to come to Oklahoma, fight for a job. And it's like, so
earn a scholarship.
Yeah. So sometimes there's some track record that until proven otherwise, Lincoln Riley knows what he's doing with quarterbacks. And so Miller Moss is, I think, the next really good one. So I'm excited to see it. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, I'm 33 plus 3,300, put $100 on that all day.
Yeah. If you bet $100 and he wins, what do you get? $3,000?
I'm terrible at math. So let me just do it real quick and let's see, shall we?
Yeah. While you're looking that up, I want to ask you this question too. So let's see if you could do 2 things at once. Do you think that these quarterbacks ahead of them is because of experience? I think a lot of it has to do with experience. You think if Miller Moss was a 3rd-year starter and very successful, do you think he'll be the number 1 quarterback in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think, that's it. It has to be why. Because even Drew Aller, played a tiny bit in 22, and then was the full starter all of last season. And then you look at the rest of the list, right? And guys like
Will Howard,
guys like Dylan Raiola is going to be a true freshman at Nebraska. Alex Orjai is going to be a first-time starter at Michigan. Aiden Chili's is going to be a first-time starter at Michigan. So, yeah, those youth guys definitely drove down. And so I think Miller Moss being a 1-game starter is probably why he's behind the top 3. And I'm embarrassed to say, like, it should have been so easy, this odds. Like, bet $100, you win $3,300. Like,
yeah.
I feel like an idiot.
Yeah. I don't think it comes down to the big game also. And I don't think anybody on the list has, well, Dillon Gabriel has a UCF. So besides Dillon Gabriel, I don't think there's anybody that like when the big game matter. And this is what I'm going to get to.
But Gabriel blew it again when he was with Oklahoma last year a few times.
But I will say this, and people get high on Will Howard. A great quarterback makes your team a whole lot better. And I've had this conversation with my friend Luke, who need to bring on the show because he wants to come back on and talk Lincoln Riley offense. He's a real expert at it. Mm-hmm. And the fact of this, Will Howard should have made Kansas State way better than what they were. Kansas State was still the same football team with Will Howard. I don't think that is good enough for Ohio State. Just my opinion. I could be wrong, but like, just think of the MAC schools that had really good quarterbacks. They're 13-1, right? And like they're exceptional. Kansas State was still the same with Will Howard, if that makes sense. Like they didn't become world beaters. Perfect example I could give you is Kansas. They had a really good quarterback that year when they were like 12-1 or whatever. And so Will Howard is just okay to me. So I don't think he's better than Miller Moss, but we also haven't really seen Miller Moss play. So like that's what puts the jury out on that one.
Yeah. Well, and I think the stamp of approval there is USC was heavily pursuing Will Howard. I mean, Lincoln Riley went to Manhattan on a plane to visit him. And then after the bowl game, basically said, "Now we're good. We're good with Moss. Yeah. We don't. Yeah. Will Howard choose somewhere. I mean, we don't. That didn't come out that it was officially said, but I think it's pretty obvious that they decided to not offer him a bag of money, and Ohio State did because they were confident Miller Moss, and they went and got obviously Jade Maeva to be a young backup. And Jade Maeva, I mean,
he should be on the list too,
dude. Everyone's. I mean, obviously, and I get it. Julian Lewis is the future. But Jade Maeva, with all his eligibility, like he has technically the most talent maybe in the Big Ten, just talent-wise, when you look at all the quarterbacks.
Yeah. He may be, but he's going to basketball it. He's going to one and done it.
Probably.
Like he's going to, because he played last season. He's going to sit this season. He's going to play next year. Probably win a Heisman. Wouldn't that be great if SC had 2 back-to-back Heismans, like, and then like 3 and 4 years? Like, well, then what do you have to say about that, Paul? Let me hear your, you know what I mean? Like, and then like 3 and 4 years, and then he's one and done, and then all of a sudden Julian Lewis wins it in 2 years, and you have what? You have 4 and 6 years? Come on, man.
Ooh, like, now you're dreaming, yeah. Look at that. Build a new stadium. The peristyle can't fit them all.
There you go. Yep. So let's move on to the Big Ten. CBS, the big networks. One of the big networks, CBS Sports, dropped another ranking, and we're talking about rankings today. Top 10 head coaches in the Big Ten, according to CBS Sports. And if you want to see these rankings, you can go to USC LAFB Twitter, and you can also go to LAFB Twitter. Did Skinny T write an article on these yet?
I have one in the works. So yeah.
So we got some articles. You can go to lfbnetwork.com and you can go see these articles also. Top 10 head coaches in the Big Ten, according to CBS. Number 1, Ryan Day. Number 2, Dan Lanning. Number 3, Lincoln Riley, Paul Finebaum. Number 4, James Franklin. Number 5, Luke Fickell. Number 6, Kurt French. 7, Jonathan Smith. 8, Matt Rule. 9, Jed Fish. 10, Brett Bilma. So I just want to let you know this. I'm a big Brett fan. I love everything Brett does. I love what he does at culture. So that's good that he made it on there. And I love what he's doing at Illinois. And this was one of those things. This is like when I said Arizona. I said Arizona is going to be a really good football team because I love what they do. And you guys thought I was crazy. And Arizona ended up being a really good football team because of Jed Fish. And Jed Fish making the list. That's 100% true. The one coach says, and we'll get to Lincoln here in a bit. I just want to say the one coach on here that I do not agree with is Kurt French.
Yeah.
And when I tell you that I don't agree, I think he should be higher. So the question, yeah. And this is why I say that. What he does with what he does is amazing. He's not going to get all the 5 stars and the 4 stars. He's getting 3 and 2 stars. And he's making really good football teams and winning 8, 9, 10 games a year. That's a very good football coach. I don't care what you say. Let's take the shell off of it and let's get to the core. What he's doing at Iowa is very good, and that's why he's a lifer there, and that's why he hasn't gone anywhere, because he is doing some very good stuff with very little in the middle of nowhere, Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, and he's balling out. Now let's go on to Lincoln. So,
real quick, let me jump on that real quick, because overall, I agree with you. I mean, it's Iowa, right? Like, and they're always competitive. I mean, they were in the Rose Bowl not too long ago against Stanford. They got blown out, but I remember being here in Pasadena, and it was like flooded with people from Iowa, just all coming out to SoCal in January. But yeah, I agree with you in the fact that absolutely keeps that program relevant. They're always competitive. The one knock I would have is the fact that Lincoln Riley, who we're getting to, gets absolutely crucified for what his defenses have been. Kirk Ferentz can't put a productive offense on the field to save his life. Like, that offense is I wouldn't even say a high school level offense. Like, they are a pitiful offense in college football, and they've got great defenses, good special teams, do a lot with a little, but the fact that he can't, like, even just bring in a coordinator that can put up like 14 points a game, that's where I would knock him. Cause like, you look at a guy like Kyle Whittingham, who I think is one of the greatest coaches in college right now with Utah. Like, he can put it all together, and he's got the same issue, like recruiting just 3-star guys, but they at least have like competent offense, competent defense, this and that. Like, Kirk Ferentz is great in terms of culture and all that, but that side of the ball, the offense is just, it's bad.
Don't say culture. He got in trouble 2 years ago for culture issues.
Yeah,
no,
true.
but I mean, at the core of it though, like,
yeah.
Like, so if I had an opportunity, and this sounds crazy, if I had an opportunity to coach somewhere, right? Dream jobs: Minnesota, Penn State, Oregon State, Arizona, Iowa, places like that, right? And all I have to do is win football games and put a good product on the field, and I keep my job forever. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the pressure of, oh, you had a down year. You're going to have down years. That's what recruiting is. Well, with the portal now, it's kind of hard, but to use that excuse. But Iowa is not getting guys to go to Iowa in the portal. Nobody wants to go to Iowa. They want to go to the big school. That's the advantage that they have in the portal. So that's the thing. But rolling on to Lincoln, number 3. That's interesting that he's number 3, and we just listened to somebody say that he's going to be out of there. Lincoln always ends up in situations that I think it's kind of like a look around situation. You know how when something happens, you kind of look around like, what just happened? Like, you're putting him as number 3 in the best conference, right? So that means title contender, national championship contender. When I say title contender, conference title contender, national championship title, guaranteed playoff berth, like on top of the world. The problem with this, him being at number 3, and if I was him, I hate it. If he doesn't succeed this year, all of a sudden he's considered a failure again. And I think something gets pushed on him that's not his fault, if that makes sense. Like, him being ranked number 3, right? The question to me is, how is Dan Lanning number 2 and Oregon is always the same Oregon? And I just had this argument on Thursday with the Oregon Duck. You guys are the most overachieving losers I've ever met in my life. Like, you don't win anything, and guess what? They're always coming. When's the last time you won a national championship? Well, when's the last time you won one? Right? Like, Oregon is truly the Penn State of the West. 12 games, that's about it. They'll never do enough to officially get over the hill. I don't think I'll ever see it. So I don't like Dan Lanning at 2. I think if you're going to put Lincoln at 3, you might as well put him at 2, because at least he's in a program and some type of culture that's going to try to achieve, and they have a history of at least winning a national championship, and they don't celebrate winning conference champions. So I don't agree with him at 3. I think he should be number 2 because, I mean, just school-wise, right? I don't know what criteria they use, but just school-wise, I think that he should be number 2. And it's unfortunate, but damn, Lincoln, like, you're a pretty damn good coach. You can coach the hell out of quarterbacks. You can put some points up. You're doing a hell of a job. You're doing a hell of a job this offseason, recruiting and putting people in the right situation to win. Now you just have to prove it and show people why you're at the top of the Big Ten, because of the Big Ten rankings for a coach. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, 2 or 3, I think. I mean, to me, all these rankings are like, what have you done for me lately, right? So they don't take into account a full tenure, what you've done, even 2 years ago. I mean, 2 years ago, took a 4-win USC team, brought them to 11 wins, to a Cotton Bowl, Heisman Trophy winner. Last year wasn't the same. This recruiting class is kind of an up and down roller coaster, as we've talked about a bunch. Dan Lanning, I think, has done well at Oregon. I mean, I think he's a good coach. He's a good recruiter. I think it's because there's a lot of momentum with Oregon right now. But it's funny you say the thing about, like, the sorry, what is it? The sorriest losers or the best
most
losers?
the most overachieving losers.
Yeah. We'll see if they knock it, but they feel like, I mean, because we cover obviously the Chargers here at LAFB, like they feel like what the Chargers are every year. Like they win the offseason every year. Every year. Okay, this is the best team on paper. This is the team on paper that's going to win everything. And every year they let you down. And that seems to be Oregon, even under Dan Lanning. I mean, the dude can't beat Washington. Maybe he'll beat him now that Kalen DeBoer's gone, but he hasn't beaten Washington in his 2 years there. Both times Washington got the upper hand on him. So, but I mean, I get it coming off of last year where they're sitting at recruiting. So I don't have a problem either 2 or 3. I personally think Lincoln's a better coach. I'd probably put him 2, but I don't think it's egregious or anything like that because Dan Lanning has done a hell of a job with Oregon. And, who knows how much the rumors are true that he was the number 1 option for Alabama and turned it down. Who knows if that's true or not, but it seems like he's, very hell-bent on winning something at Oregon for the first time ever.
That was a rumor because when they said he was on a plane, he put a tweet out overcooking steak saying, "I'm here in Eugene." So
yeah,
that was a rumor.
Way overcooking steaks.
Yeah.
Those were just dog bones at that point.
No, I'm just, and like I said, 2 or 3. I mean, at that point, 2 or 3 doesn't really matter, right?
You're pulling straws there.
Yeah, you're pulling at straws. I'm just saying 2 or 3 because I like my brother went to Oregon, so we take those shots all the time. So.
Well, it's also, Coach, and this is what I get so frustrated with, and not with fans, because if you don't know, you don't know. But I get frustrated that guys like Paul Finebaum and guys in the media that should know more before they say things. And I'm not making excuses for Lincoln Riley. Like there's things that he has done that he has failed at, keeping Grinch, all these different things. But there's also a lot of things that have not been in his control or that he was promised when he came here by the previous regime. Remember, Mike Bone's not here. Brandon Sosa's not here. Like these are guys that promised him things that now, not saying Jen Cohen's not trying, but it's a new regime. There's new things that are priorities that he has not gotten, where someone like Dan Lanning, we all know, Phil Knight just gave him an open checkbook and said, write whatever check you need to get the team you want. So I hate when they compare these coaches on today's level of recruiting, when it's not a fair fight if you have a Phil Knight. USC, they've made their own bed and they've got to fix things themselves. I'm not making excuses for USC because there's issues we've talked about. There's other things with staffing and whatnot. And Lincoln Riley's been a part of that sometimes in hiring, but purely just the coach recruiting. It's not Lincoln Riley failing, and it's not Dan Lanning just out recruiting him. Like when you have a blank check from Phil Knight, who is 90 years old and just wants to see a championship and has all the money in the world and doesn't care. It's not an even playing field.
Yeah, but we got people who have all the money in the world. They're just smart with it because they want to see a return on the investment, right? I guess Phil Knight is in a recession-proof business. People are always going to buy shoes, right? And people are always going to want the latest Nike, and he has Jordan with them.
Yeah, but to me, this is just my opinion. I'm not talking about anyone specifically. But yes, USC absolutely has the money, and yes, they have the boosters and the donors that have the money. There's some other roadblocks there, which I won't get into right now, that's been an issue. But let's just say all things even, the money is even, which I think overall the money is even. Even the richest SC people are like, yeah, we want football to be successful. We're willing to donate. But like you just said, like there's got to be some reasons why, or where's the money going, or this. Phil Knight at his age, I don't think cares. He's just like, all I care about is this football team. I don't have to work anymore. Like I'm not nothing is like, there's nothing else for me except to see Oregon football win. I just think it's a different mentality than like an SC alum that's like, yeah, I'll give, $600,000, but I need something back for anyway, I'm getting off.
That's like Galen on his last days. I remember when I was there, Galen was giving $150,000. It seemed like every halftime. Like there's always a check cut from Galen, and it makes sense. But like now they're younger people and they're in real estate and stock market stuff. They're like, well, the market's susceptible, blah blah blah, and so. I mean, it's no excuse. We got to figure out a way to do it. We have to figure out the way to make sense.
And now, that's what I want to. Sorry, last thing I'll say. Like that, I'm not saying it as an excuse for Lincoln Riley or SC because I don't want to be seen as that because they've made it a lot of their own issues. But I'm just saying I don't think it should be seen as a Dan Lanning is that much better just because he has an 86-year-old, $33 billionaire that's just here,
Yeah.
whatever you need. It's done.
I will say this though. Some of the stuff that Lincoln Riley was promised is coming true because USC is getting a brand new facility.
Yep.
Like that's coming. He wanted a new facility. That's coming. I don't know all the other stuff he was promised, but I know the facility was one of them. But the facility game is over. Like it's behind the ball, and it is what it is. But at the end of the day, like you said, like you're picking hairs, and I'm always going to put Lincoln Riley over Dan Lanning and Oregon just because of the connections I have to Oregon. Like it's a family rivalry, and you're always going to rival your brother, and it's always going to be that. And I'm always going to have to deal with that. I even deal with it with basketball, deal with it with baseball. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, we're still better than Oregon. You go to Oregon to wear uniforms, you go to SC to win. So I'm just going to leave it on that note.
There you go.
You got anything before we bounce out of here?
No, good stuff. Here we are, July. So we're almost fall ball's coming up soon. Hopefully, we're almost
check
there.
in at the end of the month. They check in at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Camp starts in August. Check in. The NFL checks in. So they check in. Yeah, at the end of the month. NFL checks in the third week of July, and so it's coming. It's around the corner. We'll be back. We'll have our Tuesday, Friday, and Victory Sunday show. Hopefully, a bunch of Victory Sunday. So stay patient with us. You guys have been staying patient with us. You guys have been watching. But thank you guys for. Go ahead.
Last thing I'll say, I'll end with this. I tweeted this out on Saturday. I don't know if you saw, but
I'll look right now. You tweeted from yours?
Well, I'm just going to say it, so you don't have to look. I'm just going to. So
okay.
I'm paraphrasing, but to me, right now, this USC program feels like Apple, the company Apple, in the late '90s. Being that Apple was once a top computing company when it was first founded, and then it fell on dark times. Right, Steve Jobs left. Their other founder that I always say his name wrong was not Wisnowski, but you know who I'm talking about. He started another startup or whatever. They were months from bankruptcy. Jobs comes back to try to save the day, but then he's selling this dream of a new Apple based on the past years of failure. And so they needed that launch of the iMac, which I think was in like 97. They launched the new iMac, and then everyone saw like, oh, this actually does work. And then 10 years later, they launched the iPhone, they had the iPod, all these things. But when they were first before the iMac, he was trying to sell something to people that only knew Apple from failure.
Yeah.
So there's other stuff going on with recruiting, I know, but that's what I wanted to leave with. It reminds me of Apple because right now, this defensive staff is selling recruits on the failures of the last two defenses. They're selling a product that they need to prove will work. So this year, the 2024 season is the USC's iMac. If they go out and perform, I'm not even saying have to win 12 games. I'm not even saying have to win 10 games, but if they go out and perform and the defense improves dramatically, we're seeing smash mouth football, everything is going to work itself out from recruiting because now all of a sudden those kids say, okay, what Coach Henny's selling me, what Coach Lynn's selling me, we saw it happen this fall. Right now, what they're selling me, Coach Henny, Coach Aaron Donald, great. Yeah, Coach Lynn used to coach UCLA. Got to put it all together. So This season is USC's iMac. Let's see it happen.
And I said this before, and I told Jamal this, and we'll close out, but I told Jamal this, and what you're referring to is SC when they're recruiting now, we're about 4 or 5 players away. SC needs to get to the point to where it's like we're 1 player away from being the national champion, and you're that guy. Do you want to come be that guy and be the national champion?
Yeah.
You want to win a national championship, you're that 1 player. What do you want to do? You know what I mean? That changes everything. Yeah. It's hard when he's like, oh, well, we're 5 players away. Well, coach, you have those 5 players? Well, you're one of them. Well, shit. I'm going to go be just 1. You know what I mean? I can't feel in 5 plugs. So once they get to that 1 player, and they say, hey, Ryan, you come to SC. You're that 1 player away, and we're a national champion. You're like, oh, I want to go win a natty. Everything else takes care of itself with SC, right? The culture, the job market, getting you to the NFL, that's never been an issue. It's just winning. So they have to get back on the track to winning again, right? So Steve Jobs and Apple and the iMac, the purple, green, and what was the other color? Blue, I think.
Blue, orange maybe. They had a bunch, The
iMac. Get on the iMac and get to winning. Once again, like I said, we appreciate you guys for watching and thanks for hanging in there with us. We love the support, continue support. You guys know how it goes. It's a Bet Online Detroit podcast. Live free, fight on.